Hello there, this is Dr. Dayo Alugo from St. John Cap, where I empower youth mental health by providing education to parents, teachers, and caregivers. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist. I'm the host of the Walking on Eggshells with Dr. Tolu podcast, where I provide emotional health advice to parents who are caring for a child with any chronic health condition. You can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook. Today, I have a very important visitor with me. Her name is Dr. Isabelle Amigues. I'm going to get her to introduce herself in further detail, but she's going to be sharing a very important life story with us that anybody can benefit from, and it's really about learning to love life and yourself again. Thank you very much for joining me, Dr. Amigues. It's great to have you here. I really appreciate it.
And thank you so much, Dr. Alugo, for having me. I'm so passionate and I love what you do. So thank you so much for the work that you do in this community.
Thank you. So I wanted you to just share, where are you based? What do you do? And then we can then kick off the other questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Dr. Amigues. As my accent shows, French. So I did med school in France, residency and fellowship in France. And then I moved for love in the US. And I'm now located in Denver, Colorado, where I'm just created the first direct care rheumatology practice of Colorado. And we're currently seeing patients. I also am a physician scientist, so I do research. And currently, I'm quite interested in post-COVID syndrome and seeing how we can help patients with post-COVID syndrome with potentially techniques that are not necessarily medicament, like drugs. I think that the practice name is called Unabridged MD. And I also have a podcast where you're going to be a guest very soon. And it's such a pleasure to do what I do.
Great. And I know your website is called unabridgedmd.com.
Totally. Yes.
Okay. So I know that this is a very personal, story to you, and I really thank you for sharing it. But would you mind just sharing your journey about your health concerns and, how that has taken you from that point to where you are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So around 40 years old. So, right, I have done 2 trainings. They were pretty taxing. And then I had, so they were taxing, it was tiring. 2 residency is a lot on person's physical and mental health, for sure. And I moved to Denver and I was enjoying it, but I feel that I was getting burnout pretty fast. And I basically at just shy of, no, I was just 40 years old. 2 weeks after 40 years old, I discovered a pretty big mass on my breast. And turned out that this was breast cancer stage 4 because there were already metastases in the liver and in the bone. And what's really interesting is that instead of being in a fight mode, I had the luck, and I really say this, I had the luck of meeting someone that was not an MD or a DO and basically told me to look at my cancer with a different set of eyes. And so she asked me to look at it as a friend, which is, talking about this, you're like, what? But what it did is that it changed my approach. And so I kind of realized, and for some reason, it really rang true then. I decided, and it was a decision. I decided that I'm not going to see this negatively. I'm not going to see this as something that I need to, crush and get rid of. Rather, I'm going to think of everything that I need, that my body needs to make sure that this friend can go. Like, what can I learn? What do I need to do so that this friend can go, because I want to make sure that I live. And so what's really interesting is that I wasn't completely sure that I wanted to leave then. It took me a while. So I had twins that were at the time 3 years old. And while it sounds very cool right now, I will tell you I was exhausted. I had zero connection with my kids. I think some of the reason is that they came very preemie and I was very afraid. It was very difficult for me to have kids. Then when I had them, they came out at 6 months. So they were like for 100 days in the NICU. And I think I had no connection with them because I did not allow myself to have connections with them.
Mhm.
So anyway, to come this midlife crisis with this cancer, and I started really like going deep into what do I want. So I did a lot of meditation, visualization, started really thinking like, what do I want? Like, do I want to live or do I want to leave? And at one point, I just realized, yeah, this cancer is allowing me to choose, which is, it sounds silly to say that, and I don't want to, like, I'm still learning so much about medicine, and I would say that I'm sure that it's not always a choice, but I want to say that there is a lot of my patients that I realize that there's a choice. There's clearly a choice of, like, what is it that, like, what is this disease teaching us? What can I learn from this condition? Is there anything that I'm not learning from life, right? That I need to have this condition coming from my own body. And to me that was a real wake up call. And it's really interesting. Some people are like, oh, why did you need a stage 4? And I'm like, I'll tell you, when I thought it was stage 3, I did not have that wake up call. It's only once I learned about the PET scan showing metastasis that I had the wake up call. Then I was like, okay, you got my attention. What do you need? What does my body need? And it was incredible and beautiful journey. And instead of fighting, I was just in this search of what do I need? What do I want? Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it in this life. What do I want? What do I want my life to look?
Mhm.
And I made some choices, and I started, seeing what I wanted for my life. I started, really working on the relationship I had with my kids to make sure that I would create a relationship with my kids. And I have beautiful connections with them. They are now 7. They are great. Like, it's so much fun to be around them. Sometimes they drive me crazy, but it's okay. I still have that connection. And yeah, I feel like I'm in the place that I want to be at, when it comes to my work in this lifetime. And most importantly, I was just super kind to myself. And it was funny because I don't think that that was me before. I was very harsh, and I was harsh on myself and harsh on the people around me because I always wanted more.
Mhm.
And this really taught me to just be kind, and be kind with myself and love myself. Oh my goodness. Like, it took me a year to really love myself, but I mean, it took me really 41 years, but it was this cancer that allowed me to love myself. I don't think I really truly loved myself. I think I was in a search of ego driven experience, right? I want to be a researcher. I want to have my name on a first, like my name as first on a paper that's giving me, but it wasn't giving me joy. It was just like helping my ego, and suddenly just realizing, like, hold on, like, you may not be able to be here. What do you really want? What is it that you really deeply want? And it's not just a one question one day, right? Like, it was a full year of thinking, and I still work on that, because my ego comes back very
Of
fast.
course, yes.
But it's really interesting because even when I'm depressed or sad, I kind of like stop and I'm like, okay, hold on. Am I depressed or am I just tired? Okay,
Mhm.
I'm tired. And then I sometimes I get upset at myself. I'm like, well, you watch TV instead, like Netflix instead of sleeping. And I was like, well, hold on. Like, it took me a full day one day to realize. I was like, hold on. The reason I watched Netflix was literally because I could not sleep. And so, right, instead of like being in this, like, I'm super upset at myself, I go back and I'm like, okay, what are the real reason behind all of this? Is there any choice that I could make? Like, I could have made the choice of meditating instead of watching Netflix, absolutely. But I'm not going to be too harsh. Sometimes you have to watch Netflix and that's it.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really I don't wish this experience to anyone, and this is why I share my experience, because I'm like, wow, I really learned a lot, and this journey I want to share it with people so they do not have to go for cancer to change their life and make sure that their life are in alignment with who they really truly are, and not some sort of what the society or their or what they think that, so that's the thing, right? What you think the society wants of you, because actually the society just wants you to be happy. If everyone in this world was truly happy and loving each other like themselves, we would be in a such better position. And so I think like realizing that the only battle, it's not a battle, but the only work we really truly have to do is a work with ourselves, because the moment we love ourselves is the moment we love everyone around us. And it's also the moment we have boundaries and we don't let people take over our own life energy, because it's really what do I need? Like the most important person in my life is me, because if it's not me, then I may die. And so what do I truly need? Not looking at the things that are around me. What do I truly need? And if it's family, yeah, sure, like that's wonderful. If the most important thing for you is family, then make sure that that's where the energy is, right? Like where do you put your energy?
Hmm.
But it has to be the proper. It's not just money. It's not just, work,
Yeah.
work. And so all of this
Wow.
was really, really a fascinating journey that I'm so excited. Like I love sharing my story because I don't want people to have to go for cancer. I want them to be healthy.
That is such a powerful story. And I mean, there's so many things that really stand out to me. One is, asking yourself, do I want to live or do I want to leave? Really sitting yourself down, having this moment of realization that I really have to make a choice what I want, and then being intentional when you figured out what you wanted to then begin to strive to follow that, but also being kind to yourself, because sometimes we go from one burnout to another burnout. We go from one chasing my career, chasing money, to yes, I'm chasing this idealistic family life, and then there's just no time to really give yourself grace or an opportunity to relax. And I think that that is a powerful thing to really learn about. So you've mentioned a couple of really broad strokes. I'm just wondering, were there specific strategies you used on this journey to help you through the course of that year to manage your emotional health?
Oh, absolutely. And so I love that you're saying emotional health. So here's the thing. I did not know if everything that I was doing had a scientific base. What I know though is that it may not have cured me, it may not have cured the cancer, but it definitely helped my mental health. And just for that, I highly recommend everything that I did. Now I'll just tell you what I did. So the first thing is that I started doing a lot of meditation, because everyone was talking to me about meditation, and I had tried and I couldn't, and I was not someone to sit down. And I somehow felt that it was vital for me to meditate at that time. So I really sat myself down for 10 minutes per day. Like it was the first thing I would do. I would drink a glass of water and or like tea, and then I would sit down and start meditating. And I would meditate outside actually a lot. And it was just 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, I had the most incredible thoughts, like super annoying thoughts. It was so annoying. Like, no, no, no. Oh, look, you cannot stay focused. Oh, look, or again forgot like where you were at. Oh, look, you cannot do any breathing. Oh, it was awful. And then at one point, I was like, you know what? I'm here. I'm here. It's hard for me, and I'm here.
And you're
And
showing up.
yeah, I'm showing up. And what was super cool is that I realized after a while, so the guided meditation helped me because, they put you back in. And then I realized that I could do it myself. The way that I do it now still is that I do 10 minutes and I have a ding in the middle, like a ring in the middle at 5 minutes. And so my first 5 minutes are to focus on my breathing. But the truth is, my mind goes places, like a lot of places, which are useless, honestly. Like it's usually useless. But I don't know. My mind likes to do, likes to go places. And so what's really cool is that at the 5 minute mark, I'm like, nope, that it's my time. And then I do a visualization, like a sort of a scanning of my body where I send love, and that's my meditation. So really, like the first 5 minutes, I try to do like the beautiful meditation that everyone is doing. And here's the thing: like the more you do it, the better. But like I actually did 12 days and a retreat where we did like 14 hours of meditation per day. Even then, my mind was going places. So it's normal. It's just normal. So that's like the number one thing to do. But it does work, this meditation, even if it's for the one fraction of second that you get grounded, it's worth it. And after the meditation, I would do 10 minutes of visualization. And that was my favorite thing to do. So I would visualize myself healthy and with all the things that I wanted in my life. And so I still have some of those drawings. I'm not a drawer, so there are figure stick with like curly hair for representing me with a big smile. And I was like, this is me, this is Isabelle, right? And I would visualize myself healthy. So I would have like cured on top, guéri in French on top. And I would have, I would draw. And the reason why I was doing visualization drawing is that I am a little bit all over the place sometimes. And so I need to focus, and drawing helped me focus. And so I would draw that, and I would draw like my feelings. And again, I'm not a drawer. So I would write my feelings, like happy, loved, loving, connection with the kids. So I would write that, and I would write my kids, and I would write me, and I would write my partner, and the health. And it was, I say was because I haven't done it for a little bit, but I literally did this every single day,
Wow.
for at least a year, if not two. And then, it's kind of, you're in maintenance phase. So I don't do it as often, but honestly, I miss it. So visualization, meditation, I did some affirmation. That is the only thing I haven't looked in terms of the science behind it. But I believe in it. Meaning, if you think about all of the things that we say to ourselves, we can literally push ourselves up or push ourselves down. And so if you're constantly saying, I'm not going to make it, I'm so afraid, I'm going to die, I'm going to have complications. Like, I mean, the chances of all of those things happening are pretty high. And instead, if you tell yourself, I'm going to make it, like 2020, like at the time it was what, 2019? 2019 is amazing. We have amazing drugs. I would like tell myself, I'm, feeling healthy and vibrantly healthy and alive. And, I would just like live in those affirmations because they help me. I don't want to fake it to make it. I said it wasn't a fake it till you make it, but it was I'm going to make sure that all of those thoughts that are in my head are positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Not to say that I wasn't afraid, because I was, but when I was afraid, I would open a journal and I would write why I was afraid. And then I would go back to my affirmations and I would be like, no, it's okay. And I would go back to the visualization, go back to the affirmation. And then I would look at fear with very cold, in the sense I was like, okay, you're afraid of dying. Sure. We are all going to die. Right. Like, so we are like, this is the one thing we all know we're going to die. And so you're afraid of dying now. Okay. Why? What is it that you would be afraid of? Right. Like, and so I started like just thinking of what is it? Why am I so afraid? And like just thinking about this. And then it's really cool when you start journaling, which is another thing that I was doing. When you start journaling, you actually start like just making sense of thoughts that are like in sort of in circles in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not someone who journaled before. So this is the first time I did it. And like, honestly, like I cannot even read myself because it's not really properly written. It's awful. It's in French sometime, in English some other time. It's very weird. And then like some other time, it's like I'm putting some question about other patients' care in between. So it's the journal is not for me something that I go back to, though it would be interesting. It's really just to get out my fears and my question and my anxiety, my annoyance, all of those feelings, right? And because they are written somehow, like my pen, it gets more like I get an answer. I get some sort of answers. And at least I feel like I can just put it down. And by writing them down, I'm like, okay, it's written down. It's not like I am not looking at it. I'm looking at it. Now I'm going to move on with my life because I'm not going to let fear destroy the time that I have in my life right now. Like so, but it was a conscious decision. It was like, okay, I understand I have fear and that's totally valid. Like, I mean, who would not have fear for literally anything in your life, right? Okay, fine. I have fear. Let me think about it. Let me put it down and then move on. And then the last two things I did that are more um, more physical, but honestly, I think that they are very good for your mental state. I had a diet that was anti-inflammatory, that was basically whole food, plant-based, not 100%, because again, I think for our mental health, you have to let yourself a leeway. And so it was more like, okay, I'm going to aim for 80% of this really nice, healthy diet, but I'm not going to feel guilty if I'm not eating properly. I'm not going to feel guilty if I'm not perfect. Like, no ways. And then the last thing, I exercised a lot, but not exercising, just, exercising, but something that I love. So I love hiking, I love climbing, rock climbing, I love skiing. So I did that because, I mean, at the time it was more rock climbing during the cancer. But like, I was like, okay, I'm moving. And the really cool thing about movement is that you see yourself healthy, right? So if you can move, moving is life, right? Like a baby that does not move in the womb of their mom will not survive. And it's the same thing outside. So any movement, like literally any movement, is something, even if it's a movement that's in your head and that you cannot do, even if it's a mindful movement,
Mhm.
it's good. It's good. And so all of those things. So the only thing I didn't look, which is the affirmation, but I'm sure it's actually, I just didn't take the time to look. All of those things, there is evidence-based medicine behind all of those. There's science to say that it helps inflammatory arthritis, it helps cancer, it helps, all of those things. That's just what I looked. I know that it probably helps mental health as well, and so on. So
Oh, I'm sure, because I mean those are really great strategies. And just to recap, so you said meditation, you said journaling, affirmation. So meditation,
meditation, visualization,
visualization, affirmations, then you said plant-based diet and
yes.
exercise. And even I like the idea of mindful moving. So even if you feel like, see, if you can't get out there, you can still do some mindful exercises in that situation. And these are strategies not just for cancer, but I think for any kind of challenging life situation. These are strategies that will help anybody. So thank you so much for sharing them. So before we begin to wrap up, if you had anybody else who was on the same journey or who was caring for a loved one, caring for a child with a health condition or a spouse, or for themselves, what other strategies or what other tips would you recommend?
So for the people who are caring for them, right?
Yeah.
Not the person that's sick. Yeah, this is a tough one. I would say the journey is the journey of the patient, right? So it's really important to realize that it's the journey of the patient. I'm not adult. I'm an adult rheumatologist, right? So I'm not a pediatrician, but I would say the one thing that I would say personally as a mom, but this is not like this is really just as a mom and as someone that looks a lot and research a lot. But it's not a medical advice by any mean. Is that the mom, whatever the mom says, has so much power for the kids. And so once you realize that, you've got to use it to your advantage. And so I say this to my kids. I will be like, hey, you're sleeping now. Tomorrow, your cold is gone. And I tell them it's an order. I'm ordering you for tomorrow to have your cold completely gone, completely relaxed, completely. And then I'll use magical thoughts, which is like, hey, let's wash this disease away. Let's wash this infectious away. It's infection away. Just realizing how much the words of a mom are powerful, and the kid will always do what the mom says. Even if they don't want to do it, they will do it. That's the bottom line. And so being super clear about what we're talking to our kids. I'm clearly not perfect, so sometimes they drive me crazy, but I try when it comes to these, like, when they have a cold, when they have like some sort of issues, medical issues, I really am clear and I'm like, I'm your mom and I'm demanding that you do this. And my mom did this when I had cancer. She was like, she told me, I order you to get cured. She's like, I'm giving you an order. Like literally, she ordered this to me.
Mm.
So that was actually powerful. She annoyed me because she did also say other stuff, which did not help me. But that did help me. So number one, realizing as a mom, as like other, like if you're caring for a loved one, is also realizing it's their choice.
Yeah.
And the one thing that will not work is obliging someone, except when it's your kid, but that's different. Uh, those are orders. But obliging someone to heal, to no, no, you cannot say like drink this, drink no, no. You can just say, hey, I'm here. What do you need from me? And just being loving around them. And I think for me, I was so surrounded. And I was surrounded by people who kept telling me, oh, you're doing fine. You're going to do fine. Like I had no one around me, and I made sure that I did not have anyone that was afraid, that was cared for me, that, everyone around me gave me the sensation that I was going to make it.
Good.
Right. And so I think that we have to just tell this to the people we love. And so this is really interesting when you have someone that does not want to make it. So I had one of my good friend, uh, older, 70 years old. She was diagnosed with ALS, which is a neurological condition that, is most of the time fatal, right? And you can actually keep people alive, but just with tubes everywhere and all this. And she's like, no, I've got a really good life. And I told her, I said, like, you're going to go fine. You're going to do fine. Like, this is it was 2021 or something. And she's like, no, I do not want this. So she chose.
Yeah.
And so then I didn't say that anymore because I was like, okay, she is choosing. What do you need from me? And she needed her autonomy, her independence, not pity. No pity. So I think love and telling our people that they're going to make it, that we love them, and that they deserve to be happy and they deserve to be, loved. And I think that that's what I would recommend. Just sharing the love. It's all about love. And then if they want to go, they go.
Yeah. Those are really powerful strategies for an adult: autonomy, support, being a positive presence, asking them what they need from you. And for the children, being positive in yourself, being intentional, trying to make sure that I think the same strategies of using affirmations, meditation, because if the parent is fine, then the child will do well, which is why we always encourage parents to look after their own emotional health, because like on the airplane they would say, if we lose oxygen, put on your face mask before your child's on. It's important that parents care for themselves if they have a child who's going through a health condition. So lastly, Dr. Amig, where can we find you? What platforms are you on? How can we follow you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you so much. I think for the people who are working with you, or that are listening to your podcast, they'll enjoy some of the episodes of my podcast, but I don't know that they'll enjoy all of them because some of them are really rheumatology related. But I do share a lot of mindset and all this. And I have some guests that talk about all of those things. So they might actually enjoy it. So it's Unabridged MD, it's on YouTube, and it's on any sort of podcast platform that you have, Unabridged MD. And then if you are looking for a rheumatologist, then and that you are you have anyone that's in Colorado or Wisconsin or Michigan, and I'm about to increase more as telehealth, I'm available at onabridgemd.com as well. And we have the first direct care rheumatology practice in Colorado. So I'm very excited about that.
Wow, thank you so much. So, this has been a great time interviewing you. I really appreciate your sharing your journey so candidly. So, listen, guys, go follow Dr. Amig on abridmd.com. Listen to her podcast, share it within your network. Follow me at St. John Cap on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Listen to the podcast, Walking on Eggshells with Dr. Tolu. Share the information. And remember, we're really just here to provide information to help you be better parents, even when you're going through challenging situations yourself or caring for a loved one with a mental or physical health condition. And until we meet again, take care and remain informed. Thank you very much, Dr. Amig. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.